Hey there, tburrier from tburrier.com, and today I'm going to give you 9 power tips for accomplishing your goals. Goal setting is such an important thing for all of us, right? There's so many studies that have shown over and over and over that the people that set goals in their life do much better than the people that don't. And this precludes things like talent and circumstances. It just makes perfect sense because it means you're trying to do something, right? You're purposefully trying to accomplish something. And I'm always going to be real with you completely. I've set a lot of goals in my life that I haven't achieved, right? Many, probably more than I've accomplished. I hate to say that, but it's true. However, just having set goals has gotten me farther in many areas of my life. And so I know the power of it. The challenge is that most people don't really know how to do it. They think a New Year's resolution is a goal, when in fact, it's certainly not, because most people don't stick to those more than a week or two. But there's really some simple things. So everything that I'm going to give you here falls under the umbrella to make, of course, that you need to have what is called SMART goals. And anyone who's looked at any goal setting curriculum at all, and I've written many of them, extensive goal setting curriculums for universities, style trainings, etc. But so in case you don't know what that is, I'll give you that real quick, and then I'll get into these 9 power tips for you. So SMART is the acronym that pretty much lets you know if something actually is a goal or if it's just something you're wishing about or dreaming about or hoping about. So it stands for S, it stands for specific. It makes perfect sense, right? You have to specifically describe this thing you're trying to accomplish. Next is it's got to be measurable, right? It has to be something that you can measure. Are you making progress? The third thing, it needs to be achievable, and that's an important one because achievable is very personal, right? It's not up to someone else to tell you what is achievable for you or not. And what that really means in my way of thinking is, can you physically do it, right? If your goal is to fly without the aid of any instruments except your body, that's not achievable for very long, right? And then the fourth one, R, stands for reasonable, and I like to use the word relevant, because relevant to me is even more important. Reasonable fits right in there with achievable. What's reasonable? It's what you believe you can accomplish, right? It's what you want to go after. There's lots of people who've accomplished lots of things that other people didn't think were reasonable. As a matter of fact, that's what makes the world go round. It's why we have so many great things in this world, is because people refuse to accept that someone else thought what they wanted to do was unreasonable and did it anyway. Relevant is more important, because if the goal is not relevant to what matters to you, what your values are, what you care about, what drives you, then you're not going to do it. That's why I like that part of the R a lot better. And then the T stands for timely, meaning it needs to have a time on it. So I think it's really important, I know that it's really important to have long-term goals and short-term goals and have a mix of things. And so in the most important areas of your life, you certainly want to have long-term goals, but you want to be working on things today that are of meaning. And so everything I give you falls inside of the context that you already are making SMART goals. And again, if you don't really know how to do that, you can find books on that or reach out to me. I'm happy to give you some coaching on that as well. So the first place I have to start, right? The first power tip is your goals. And I say goals. You can't just have a goal, right? Unless your goal is to live the most, and I teach, this concept I teach and platform I teach is how to achieve your richest life possible. Your richest life possible would be bigger, right? So it's an overarching goal. And then what that would mean is you would be experiencing higher levels of success in everything that mattered to you. Okay. So that's narrowing it down a little bit. And so that might be a one goal, but it's made up of several sub goals. Okay. And so everything that you do is going to be affected by your priorities, and it's going to be affected either positively, as in having goals in your priorities is going to support you in such a way that you're going to be in a great space to do better, or you're not going to have a goal and a priority and it's going to be neglected, and then it's going to cause a problem and it's going to become a drain from everything else you're doing. And so everything I teach revolves around the concept, and this is power tip number 1. You have to have goals in each of the 3 circles. And the 3 circles, and if you You certainly haven't had a chance to read this book yet, because at this moment I make this video, it's just coming out. But my book, Three Circles Living, How to Achieving Your Richest Life Possible, is this concept about how the important priorities in your life support each other, starting with health, your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical being, right? And the energy that you have in that, and how that, taking care of that, because if you don't take care of that, you got nothing, right? Nothing will work right. Nothing will be sustainable. So you take care of your health, and then allows you to better take care of the relationships and invest in those relationships that matter to you in your life. And then that brings you much greater joy, makes you more effective in your workplace, makes you more effective in the world. And then you take that into your career. Now, there's a whole set of core competencies that go around that I teach, but conceptually, you want to have goals associated with those three areas specifically. You might have others too, but you've got to have goals around growth and development in those three areas in your life. You have to. If you don't, the price will be steep. And a lot of people paid that price over and over and over and didn't understand why, because they didn't know. And so that's one of the reasons I wrote the book, because I've been teaching it and living this for a long time, and it's led to an amazing life, not a life free of struggle, but an amazing life. And it helped lots of other people accomplish that. So the first piece is that your goals have to fit into those three circles. They have to. You cannot leave one of those circles out, because the cost is too great. All right. So that's first. I suggest to get the book. That will help you greatly. But even if you don't, you got to set goals in your health, so that and the reason this matters, right, is if you have an area of importance, of a priority, that you set a goal, and you're going to be focused on that because it matters to you. And so subsequently, it's going to consume the areas of your life where that doesn't exist. And so that's the key here, because if you don't have goals in all the areas that matter, then some of those areas that matter are going to get neglected, and they're going to end up causing you heartache and affecting your ability to accomplish. That's the spin on the backside. The spin on the other side is doing all those things in the right order, in the right way, allows you to be a powerhouse and allows you to live in an incredible way. So number one is you got to have goals in the three circles. Number two, doubt is good. And here's what I mean by that. When you start setting goals and you start reaching a little bit, remember we went back to that reasonable or achievable. Well, if you haven't achieved it before and you might think it's possible, but you're still going to have some doubt, right? And the more you stretch yourself, the bigger the goal is, the more doubt you're going to have. Well, I would submit to you that if you don't have doubt, your goals are too small, right? A goal that doesn't stretch you won't inspire you. It won't develop you. It won't grow you. It won't make you better. It won't make you enthusiastic. It won't feel good if you do it, right? It's like when you check off that little easy thing to do on a to-do list, you get a little sense of gratification, sure, but deep down, okay, I did the easy thing, so what, right? Doubt is good. Everybody has doubt, right? Everybody has doubt. And by the way, certainly, I'm not even going to say if, certainly you have obstacles in your headspace. The free audio over at tburrier.com, it's right there for you, how to overcome your 4 barriers to success, which are all in the head. That will help you too. If you haven't got it, go over there and get that. That's free. It's a free download. But anyway, you should have doubt. You shouldn't stop because you have doubt. Doubt doesn't stop you. It's just, it means it's stretching you a little bit. So doubt is good. Just letting you know that. Doubt means your goals are reasonably good, okay? The third thing is knowing why is way more important than knowing how, right? Regardless of what it is you want to accomplish, you don't really know what it's going to take. I don't care how well your strategic plan, action plan, obstacle plan, it doesn't make any difference. You can't see the future, and neither can I. And so one thing is for certain, whatever you think it's going to take to accomplish the thing you're going to try to accomplish, that's not what it's going to take. It's going to take more. It's going to take more. You're going to run into things. You're going to have things happen. You're going to discover things. You're going to have areas where you have to grow and learn. There's things right now associated with whatever it is, especially the bigger goals in your life, that you don't know how to do yet. You just don't know them yet. But that doesn't matter, because you can learn. It's way more important to know why you want to accomplish something than it is to know how. You can learn the hows. Hows are available, right? This is a how-to kind of video too, right? So there's all kinds of, you got to know why. That's way more important. If you know why, you'll figure out the hows, and there's plenty of coaches like me around to help you. There's plenty of resources, there's plenty of books, there's plenty of tools. It's all about here, right? It's all about here. So focus on why it matters to you. the how will be there. The hows of the beginning steps are easy, right? I mean, if it's health, how hard is that, right? Start eating a little better, start moving your body, right? You can set moderate goals and work your way up. That's not hard, right? Same thing with building a business. It's just a process. So third thing is way more important to know why than how. You'll get the how. Next is sacrifice, and this is power tip number 4, sacrifice what isn't helping. This is why I give you that 3 circles philosophy as the platform here for even your goal setting, because there are plenty of things in your life that you do. Some you do to avoid. Some you do because they're habit. Some you do because you get some measure of enjoyment out of them, but actually the negative effect of engaging in that activity is much greater on you. And so when you set a goal, what have you automatically done? You've made a commitment. And when you've made a commitment, and that's key, you may have made it just to yourself, that's even more key. You're the one that needs to know you can keep a commitment. Then obviously you already have a busy life. It's like, if anybody's even thinking about setting goals, is not someone who's sitting around doing nothing. So you already have a busy life. You already feel like time is stretched. Bottom line is there's things in your life right now that are not contributing to the overall success of the things that matter most to you. And once you're clear about going to accomplish goals, you need to be clear about the things that are getting in the way, that are adding no value to those areas. So again, if something is not adding value, right, to the 3 circles, right? Now, again, the 3 circles give you health, for example, is physical health, but it's also emotional and intellectual and spiritual. And so part of that might be, like for me, for example, getting out and fishing is an important part of my life. It's an important part of taking care of me. It's great to relax. It allows me to de-stress. Right? It helps me get centered. Right now, if I fished all day, every day, and didn't do my other things, that would be different. Then I would be using it as an avoidance tool, as opposed to being a part of my life. Does that make sense? And so you have to sacrifice the stuff. Maybe you're watching too much TV, or too many seasons of a show, or too many. You're spending time on stuff that is not helping you. That's probably costing you money too. And you can look at your checkbook or your credit card statements and find some of these things too. But you're going to have to sacrifice some. You're not going to be. You can't pour something into a full cup until you pour something out. And so you got to think about what's not adding value in your life that needs to go. And move it, right? You're going to be replacing it with good action steps anyway. Next is you got to chunk your goals into daily bites. This requires a little work, right? Maybe your goal is a 1-year business goal, or a 1-year financial goal, or a 1-year exercise goal, or whatever. Whatever that is, right? You've got to break it back down, right? You eat the elephant one bite at a time. You got to break it down to a daily chunk. You've got to have an action plan, and then you follow that plan, right? Which is relatively simple, right? Again, in business, it's just a matter of looking at your process and understanding, okay, how many people do I have to talk to in this area of my process on average to accomplish a certain result? How many of this, because everything is math. Everything in life is math, right? How many steps do I have to take to burn X number of calories? That's math, right? And so you're doing the math so that you can then chunk it down to daily actions that you can focus on, which will come back to that, because that's a separate tip. First is creating the plan and making it into daily bites. Next, and this is something I've never seen anybody teach. I teach it in all of my strategic planning stuff and planning and coaching. What is your obstacle plan? Like the minute you decide you're going to accomplish something, I once heard it said that obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. That's a bunch of crap. Obstacles are what you see the minute you have a goal, right? If you're going to try to get there, now you're going to see the stuff between you and them. So let's not pretend they don't exist. Let's be purposeful and go, okay, when this arises, what will I do? If this happens, what will I do? You try to anticipate, right? It's sort of like, you don't want the airplane pilot who, if you're on a plane and something happens to that plane, you don't want that pilot to go, geez, I wonder what to do. Even though maybe he's never had that situation in the air before, they certainly have planned and worked on it, right? So that's the same situation as you. You're going to have obstacles in the physical realm, in the emotional realm, in your relational realm, and in just interacting with the world in general. You have all kinds of things that pop up, related to resources, and related to your energy, related to, timing of things. So what are those obstacles, and what are you going to do when you face them? Because quitting is not an option, right? If you're serious about improving your life, then not going after your goals is not optional, right? So it's just a matter of how will you approach it when it happens, because it will. Next is celebrate benchmarks. So you have to set benchmarks. Remember, you're going to chunk it down into action plans, right? Action plans. So let's early on. Here's what I think you should do. I think if you haven't, you chunk it down, and maybe you're working at your goal 6 days a week, right? So you have an action plan for 6 days a week. Well, you know what? At the end of that week, you accomplish those 6 days. Give yourself a little credit. Celebrate that, because that's important. That means you have accomplished a significant part of the action. The results will follow. And so you want to, then you're going to have benchmarks along the way. If you're trying to lose 50 pounds, once you've lost 5, that's pretty good. That's 10% of the way there. Give yourself credit for that, right? And step back, because you're going to beat yourself up when you don't do what you should do. So why shouldn't you celebrate it? It's ridiculous to only celebrate accomplishing the ultimate goal. What kind of life is that? So you're supposed to be miserable 99.999% of the time so you can be elated for like 0.00001? I don't think so, right? So you got to celebrate those benchmarks along the way. Number 8, focus on the action. You're going to have a tendency to focus on the result. You're going to have a tendency to check the scale. You're going to have a tendency to check your numbers all the time. You're going to have a tendency to check the result thing you want, because that's what you're after, but it ain't going to happen overnight. And you don't know how the journey's going to look. It's going to be up and down and sideways and backwards and all kinds of ways you don't necessarily want to go. That's just the reality, but that's the way it's going to be. And so you have to focus on the actions, right? This is classic for someone in any sort of business or sales, right? You focus on the prospecting numbers, the presentation numbers. That's what you focus on, because if you consistently do the action, the result comes. You can't control the result except by how much action you do. You can't make another person say, I'm gonna buy your stuff, right? You just can't. It's their choice. And so in everything, the result comes through the action. The most important goals that you have are that daily action plan, because it is the accumulation of those action steps day in and day out that lead to the bigger result goal. And that's why you have benchmarks. And that's why you have times to be able to assess. So you can go, okay, I did that kind of action for a month and a half, and and this is what I anticipated my result would be, but this is what it is. My result's worse or better. Why? Let's really, so you got to be able to assess so you can make adjustments, because again, quitting is not an option. And then number 9 is the 3 Ps: patience, perseverance, persistence. Those 3 things, because this is a journey. Goals accomplishment is a journey. It starts now and never stops, and you keep going, right? Once you accomplish this goal, you're going to set new goals. That's what you're going to do. That's the way it works. And so you've got to remember, it's not going to happen overnight. If it's of value, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to require you to push forward. Here's what you need to know. Your capacity is unknown, right? Where you think your capability ends, it's probably just beginning, right? You have no idea what you're capable of. And so quitting's not an option. You're going to uncover so much about yourself in this goals journey. It's going to be awesome. Again, you might not even hit your goal. You might not. I mean, it's happened to me a lot. But you might, right? But let me tell you this, you're going to be way farther along. You're going to be way farther ahead. You're going to be way better developed as a human being. You're going to have had way more transformation. You're going to have learned so much more. You're going to be feeling better, being more encouraged, having more energy. Your whole life is going to be better by going after your goals. There's nothing like it. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If you've got a question for me, feel free to email me. My email is at the bottom here in the description. I encourage you to get the 3 Circles book. That book, if you follow it, I don't see how it couldn't help change your life. It's helped so many people, this platform that I've been teaching for years and living. So there's a link below where you can go check that out on Amazon. So appreciate you. And again, all the best to you. And I'm here if you need a little coaching. Take care.